Hi everyone, welcome back to another interesting conversation that we're having today. Today, I'm having my brothers again as my guests, and we're talking about a very interesting topic, which is silence in the face of injustice. And this is interesting because we can see that everywhere nowadays. And so the question that we're asking is it moral to be silent when there is injustice everywhere around you? Or is it not moral? And again, as I said, my brothers are joining me to talk about this. I have my brother Omer here. Omer, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself before we start the topic?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I would say, Derek, for, let's say, highlighting the title for today. I think in general it's very significant that we talk about this topic specifically. Previously, we talked about many things, but this one is very, very important because it's really interweave in our everyday life and like even our everyday personal actions. I think
Very
like
true.
what we do, what the way we deal with people, and the way we let's say step up in life and take those options and to do things. I think very important because the topic is more on the idea of the ethic of neutrality, and then your question about saying is silent in the face of injustice is the moral position or the complicity. I think it's very powerful, but we need to redefine what could be the morals, what would be the complicity, and then even what would be the neutrality. I think there are three triangle areas I think we need to reflect on the definitional level. So
Interesting.
Yes, interesting. So, hello again, and thank you, my friends, for inviting me to talk again,
Sure,
to have a
sure.
very interesting, as you say, intellectual conversation. I am Roberto J. Marin. I am from Colombia. It is not that I consider myself like a very intellectual and with a fresh and innovative ideas, but
We don't consider ourselves intellectuals either. we're just like people talking about things. So
but I know my friends, and I can say for sure, for long conversations we have had in the past, they are very, very intelligent. They speak very, very well. I don't even think that I am the best speaker. But thank God, at least I am a scientist, so I will bring with, I hope, ideas from science. And of course, I am one person who is very focused on morality. And you will see maybe in my opinions and ideas other part of me that usually is part of our talks.
okay.
interesting, very nice. Okay, so so Omar started by highlighting very important words, like for example, neutrality, and also the word complicity, and the word injustice, and also the word moral, because these are the key
Yes.
words here, and also the word ethics, because we can't talk about morality without thinking about ethics. So like first, let's start with the word neutrality. Like, how do you see neutrality, Omar?
Okay, thank you. I think it's very good that we start from the, let's say, semantic level, and then we can go on. I think the neutrality generally, I think the position where someone's, you stand based on truth and based on the facts, probably. It's not a position where I can take it because I know that side. For example, let's say there are two people fighting, and then let's say one of them is your friend, another one is not your friend. So if you relay or be in the side of your friend, I think this is not a neutrality. Neutrality means it's not even propagate the idea of keeping silent when you see, let's say, bad action or something wrongly happening. The idea is that what we do is that let's say intervening in some ways to have peaceful way of stopping the conflict, let's say, sides, and then even in that steps we should not take one side. So the neutrality is all about you don't need to take one side, And this even does not mean like saying that one of the sides is true. So should I take the true side in a time, let's say in a time of conflict? I think specifically if you put the neutrality in the context of conflict, I think immediately taking, for example, this person is right and you are wrong, I think will create even more intensities. So that's why I think neutrality with the wisdom, I think will make more sense.
So basically, neutrality means not taking sides.
Yes.
Two people are fighting, but you're not going to take any side.
Yeah.
You're just going to stay out of the fight.
Not by literally stay out of it. I'm saying like, because when you stay out, that conflict probably will reach you in some levels, in some times. So we are the human, we are social beings, so we need to fight and face the unjust. We need to fight like violence, we need to fight.
But let's as you said, let's focus a little bit on semantics here. Like so basically it means there's something happening, but you're not taking part in it.
Yeah, you're not taking part in idea of emotionally. So when you take a part in that, for example, let's say the conflict, the idea of fighting, for example, conflict. So let's say there are two military groups are fighting. Mm-hmm. So your side, you're taking it. If you take steps, you are more focused on the civilians, for example. So this means that you interweave, but you're not taking an idea of saying like, I need to support one of this side, or I need to, let's say, flatter one side to give me access to reach even the civilian, for example. For example, this is more in Sudan context, I think. But the neutrality and, for example, I can take another word, which is the impartiality, for example. That they're very interconnected. This is a professionally, for examples. If someone said, I am a neutral in a conflict, that person means like, doesn't mean like, I don't care about this fight. Or
okay, I'll get back to the question about, is it ever possible for somebody to be like 100%? Well, not necessarily 100%, but like, is it ever possible for somebody to be neutral?
I think we have many words. We need to define morality. Even.
Yeah. But we're taking like a long time talking about the word neutrality. So I think basically what Omer is saying is that neutrality generally means you don't take or you don't support any side. So, well, you don't take part in the action that happens around you. So let's say two people are fighting. You're not going to be part of the fight, or you're not going to cheer one person against the other, right?
Yep.
Okay, Roberto, what do you think? How do you define neutrality?
Okay, I probably will avoid the definition. I am okay with the definition. It is in simple terms. If we are talking of a context of conflict, okay, I do not take one side or the other. Or even if there are more than two. So this is neutrality for me, in my opinion.
Good.
And going a little bit more, not only the definition, but the idea of my friend Omer, I would say that I will give the example of Upward, actually. Upward is an organization serving Sudanese displaced by war. And in our group, we have volunteers, all of them Sudanese. But one of them,
Okay.
one of them was, part of a tribe, was directly involved in the conflict in Sudan. So the point is, it is his family, it is his roots, all but so only because of that, for him at least, and even for others, it was like obvious which side he was going to stand for or to be. On the other hand, most of the other volunteers in Upward, and with their reasons, they had a different opinion and the opposite side, let's say. Right. The thing is that we officially in Upward, we had the word neutrality. We are neutral. We are serving every Sudanese. It doesn't matter religion, tribe, or even political
affiliations
or that kind of things. And even we had a problem, and we needed to make it clear. We in Upward, we operate like this. They want me to say, we are right.
Yeah.
But what we are doing here in this organization is very important to allow us, even if it is my group, even if it is the volunteers, to allow the members to work together and to serve the different groups.
Which is nearly impossible without being, right? I mean, like they're people, right? I mean, so they, as you said, they come from different backgrounds. And that's exactly my question. Like, when there is a thing happening, and because the world is so interconnected nowadays, like, is it ever possible for somebody to be like just neutral about a certain thing that is happening around them, and they don't feel or take part in anything? Like, is it ever possible, Omer?
No, I think rigid neutrality is a problem. I mean, because if you base on that, even you don't step to the solving of conflict. Because in so many levels, sometimes people even connect the word neutrality with complicity. Because if you're neutral, for example, in injustice, so meaning that you're complicit. That means, for example, like when someone's violating someone's rights, and then you say, like, I am neutral. Someone violating someone's right, you say I'm neutral. So here neutrality has to be loose, because you need to defend, that's being oppressed. I mean, at least we need to face the injustice. So when you face the injustice, it's probably you are basing on the truth and the right side, and who is innocent, and innocent needs to be protected. That happens. That's why rigid neutrality is a problem. We don't need to be like always say I'm neutral, because this will propagate the idea of I will never even intervene, I will never say anything if there is something wrongly happening around us. So like if you're working outside, so you need to be humanly there. I think that's the idea.
So sometimes neutrality can indicate complicity.
I would say like rigid neutrality, which is the solid, like don't take any side of the conflict. This is, I would say, the rigid neutrality. Don't take, this is like advising someone, maybe has the power or authority, can even stop the conflict, for example. This means that even that person has a possibility of stopping it, will not intervene. So what I'm just saying is that it's not about, let's say, you used a very good word, like you were saying, like, not mobilizing it or not encouraging one of the side to carry on or continue. Not that's the idea of intervening here. The idea of interventions is about always we need to face the injustice and wrongdoing, and then any moral or amoral actions, ill practices, we need to face them. So we don't need to be saying I'm neutral, because this is the one. It could be a reason for the.
But Emma, you're talking. Okay, so here you're talking about the moral side. But I'm talking about practicality here. Like, practically, is it because I don't think it's ever possible for somebody to see something happening and they just being neutral. I mean, like we're people, right? We have feelings, we have thoughts, we have opinions about things and everything. So even those who say that they're neutral about everything and they see things, they understand, like being just totally neutral, I feel like it's a little bit impossible. Do you think it's possible? So I'm focusing on the part of like being just neutral. Like, I'm not talking about the moral part, whether it's good or bad. That's a whole different question. Like, is it possible to be neutral? Like, okay, let's say you look at these two cups here.
You think the question is not answered?
Huh?
I think I answered the question. I felt like being, let's say... Like,
is it possible?
It's in some situation, you can be neutral. In some situation, I think we need to have the context to analyze better. In a context, for example, let's say...
In a context of war, for example.
War is a very tough, I guess, because the war is a civilian. Generally, we don't have the possibility even to stop the war, because people are using the violence, the means of implementation of their objective, for example. But we as civilians, in that level, mean that we don't carry guns.
But if you cheer for one part, you're not neutral.
Yeah, that's why I felt like neutrality, 100%, or let's say like always remain neutral in every event or every actions, I think that's wrong. At the same time, that cannot be all the time.
But you're still talking about right and wrong. I'm talking about a possibility. Okay, but
It's not possible to remain neutral always. That's the idea, because you are neglecting the foundation of the neutrality itself. Because the foundation of neutrality, if it semantically we say neutral means you don't intervene. All right. I think this semantic definition, if we welcome in our action of everyday life, what about someone has the possibility of stopping or can influence the war should not being affect the innocent people? Should that person remain neutral? Say, I don't intervene on this conflict, I don't care. Go, guys, fight, and then if you get tired, let us know.
Okay, Roberto, same question. What do you think? Is it ever possible for somebody to see something happening in front of them and they just be neutral about it and they don't? Okay, not taking part, okay, but like, is it possible for somebody to just be completely neutral and have no ideas about the thing? They just stay there and that's the fight. I don't want to take part in it and I'm just neutral.
I think even in your question you are not being neutral. But I agree. I think how you are asking the question, it is like showing that, oh, how difficult it is. Look the situation. And I agree. I think, but if it is possible, yes, I think it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends on many factors. I mean, for example, you said, oh, if you are seeing the situation, you see the injustice, even if you, I don't know, in some way your emotions are there. It's different that I am far away from the situation. Maybe I know how many people in the world are neutral in what is happening in whatever example of conflict. Why? Because the lack of knowledge, their interest. So I can say that they are neutral. So, I mean, it is possible. And I would add, I mean, repeating that in general, it is not so easy. Let me give, it is important, actually. For example, I was talking about upward. As an individual, maybe I can talk with a friend and he tells me, oh, it is happening this. And I read news, I know things. But as the organization officially, it is important that we act as neutral. How about those who are involved in solving or helping to solve the conflict? It is very important that the different sides consider that third neutral, or at least they can trust in a good way, so that it is the example of the referee in a football game. Let's go to way deeper in his mind. Oh, is he? Maybe he prefers Barcelona than Real Madrid.
That happens.
Yes, it can happen. It is a human being, but in his role, how should it be? It is important, and actually we need it. We need him to be neutral, and this is what I can say.
I think you.
Okay, wait. Omer, just remember the point. I'll get back to you. But Roberto, you gave an example of somebody, for example, being far away from a conflict and they don't know about it, and so you consider them neutral. But like absence of knowledge and neutrality, aren't they different? Like, for example, if you don't know about something, you just, like, for example, let's say somebody in America, and an average person in America, just hearing about the war in Sudan, they don't know anything about it. They just heard that there is a war. So, like, yeah, I don't even call them neutral because they don't know anything about it. So they have absence of knowledge. Do you consider them neutral?
Again, it depends on many factors. Let's say that it is one person who is involved in encouraging peace. So he has an official role and he has little knowledge. Even if it increases his knowledge, he, I mean, it does not depend only on that I said that the little information. No, it can be even one person who one needs to play a role, and actually he should do his best to be neutral. Again, it is difficult. Again, there are emotions and there are
opinions,
logical opinions
interests
that makes it difficult. But I think that it is not impossible, and it occurs, I think.
True. Omer, you had a point, yes?
Yeah, I think the point about professional neutrality, or let's say the organizations and in a time of conflict, for example, I think that kind of neutrality, it's let's say dive into one step. Organizations necessarily have to remain neutral in the conflict time. What about when you intervene in a real conflict zone area, and then when you see the consequences of that brutal, violent actions? What about the narrations of the people who are being infected or being influenced by that conflict, and then they being really violated, dehumanized, their right being really exploited, and they are the real victims? So if that organization say, I'm a neutral, so I'm not going to even raise their stories or their voices, so that means is another problem. That's why I said, like in earlier I was saying, like rigid neutrality is a problem, because if we say like, okay, I am neutral from the beginning and then I will be neutral till the end, so I think neutral in the eyes of an unjust, it cannot be. Like as I said, in this situation, that civil society organization or NGO, whether national or local, has to report those voices, to the global context, where we can see, where other people can see this narration or these stories can be realized, and then people can be a little bit conscious and people can get access to help them in some ways. So that's the idea of we are even a human being, and that's the idea even we are social beings. So that means that we cannot left behind our brothers or humans who are suffering. I think that's why
I think I think what you're saying is interesting, but it reminds me of a word that we mentioned earlier. This is also part of this topic, which is complacency.
Complicity, yes.
Yes. So like okay, first, do you see any difference between the two, like neutrality and complicity?
That's why I say in the beginning, somewhere I was saying, if you are rigidly neutral in all situations, I think you're complicit. That's what I said. Like when you have a position, like organization, let's say, has the opportunity to raise the innocent voices, innocent, the dehumanization act that they think that being happened to them. It's very morally even. I can bring the moral level here, because morally I need to enact a sense of action and interventions. So morally, that organization is responsible to at least get access to help those innocent people. At the same time, the wrong, let's say the violation that being very, very violated, they being really harmed because of that conflict, then their voices, I think, need to be upgraded. Their voices need to be heard by international community, and this ways people can get access.
But isn't that the job?
That's why if that job is become not done in that process, there it will be the complicity, because the complicity doesn't mean like I am complicity. Not always mean like I am really intervening and carrying the gun or carrying something. Complicity, it means like I can see and I can do something, but I am silent.
Well, okay,
that's my position.
But isn't that going to put organizations in
danger?
Not necessarily in danger, but in a position that they shouldn't play, because to me that's the position of the media outlets. Like the media has to be like neutral, and they have to report on literally every story. Organizations, humanitarian organizations, should just help. Like they should help whether the people hurt are from this side or this side. They should just be this neutral.
That's my point, because the rigid neutrality, once again, it means you don't intervene. Like you don't intervene, it even mean you don't intervene to the consequences of that war, for example. Meaning you are the, let's say, civil society organization or international organization, people fight, you don't give any eyes on that, you don't cover it. It's like just you be busy with something else because that's
not their job.
Okay. What I'm just saying is because that's the semantic one you were trying to propagate on it. But what I'm just trying to say is that because when you say that's the neutrality, I would say you're keeping silent. So keeping silent in English means what? When you narrate someone's story,
you're being complicit.
No, when you narrate someone's story, you're no longer neutral as well in some levels. What I mean here in this context means, for example, like one of the side who violate those innocents, and then they are committing those atrocities, for example. So the organization narrate the story, and then the international community observe. And then that will say, you really take from me, it will really say like, this organization is really pointing a fingers that this side is really violent and this side is really wrong and this side is really too inhuman than the other side. So that's why that side would regard you as you're not neutral. That's what is happening in Sudan. So for example, this is one of the very game that is started. When you report it, if you are not neutral, you need to somehow maintaining on some levels. In the end of the day, on a civil levels and international organization, professional levels, being neutral when the conflict happen, being neutral means in the first level is that you don't need to, let's say, encourage to motivate that war to be continued. And then you need to not keep silent. Not only I'm not encouraging you to continue, but I'm not keeping silent to continue as well. That's the idea of a neutral. The moral position means like I need to do somewhere to get access to help those civilians or those innocent people that will get harmed in that level. So I think that's the idea. But at the end of the day, without morality, we cannot proceed on investigating the semantic point.
Okay. So I'm a little bit confused here because I feel like you're asking humanitarian. I'm still talking about humanitarian organizations because if you're talking about for example, what do you call it? Amnesty International.
Yes.
To me, that's not like a humanitarian. Well, it is a humanitarian organization in some way, but it doesn't always take a neutral position where this is the conflict and we're neutral. They go in and they investigate and they find out what's wrong and they try to support
one side. The innocent.
Yeah.
Take care of
They try to take care of the innocents. But let's take another example. For example, if there is an organization that is just purely humanitarian and it wants to help just the hurt, like the people who are hurt, asking it to report the stories and tell the whole world about it and to give voices to the voiceless. To me, that's not being neutral here. This is making a story, giving that to the whole world. And to me, that's the job of the media, not the humanitarian organizations. But
media. No, I can help here. Media role is that data can receive the data collection because the organization, they can collect data, they can collect evidence, they collect things, and then the media can really take, because every organization, for example, there is a communication office. So that communication office will collect their intervention areas, all the necessary information, but mostly they are very confidential, but some levels they cannot be silent. That's why the neutrality sometimes need to be put aside to narrate the stories as it is. You don't say, and at the same time you need to point out that this person who did this, you don't say like these things happen as a result of war, because some professions they don't pointing fingers even. They don't say that.
Like doctors, for example.
Yeah, doctors with borders. Let's say in Sudan, doctors with borders in Niala, for example. Nowadays the office is functioning there. So do we say what?
I don't know. Okay, Roberto, is it ever possible? Well, not the same question, of course. When a humanitarian organization takes a position of being completely neutral, not reporting on the events that are happening, it's just there to help people. Do you think that's, a good way of being neutral?
I don't see a problem. if an organization and a humanitarian organization works like this, I would not say that there is complicity necessarily. On the other hand, I mean, I do not think that all, because there are so many organizations and they work in so many different ways. Even upward, for example, we had in our team one group. One of our goals, and actually we worked on that, to collect stories. Even in our official meetings, so in our meetings, we told stories. I mean, the members, the volunteers of Upward, telling their own stories, stories of their families. And even it occurred before, probably after as well, the example
that you gave us earlier.
That I gave. We want to be neutral. For us, to tell stories was not being neutral. Every person can tell his story.
Yes.
So, what should I do? Should Upward publish in his Facebook page all the stories that were collected? We actually had a plan for that. And my point is that, I mean, maybe for one person who is very apt, very capable to report things, to publish. This is the case of Omer, for example. He sees it like the right thing to do, and I respect that. But let's come back to Upward. How many activities we had serving Sudanese in the previous years? Dozens. And you are witnesses that most of it was not published. Does it mean that when we did not publish every particular story, or if we publish it, we are neutral or not, or we are complice, or not? I do not think so. I think that it is not a mistake of us. I agree that maybe other voices would say, yeah, Upward, try to do your best to bring hope, justice, things like that. I respect that. Maybe we can do better things in general. But necessarily to say there is immorality or lack of ethics, or you are even complice there because of the way you act, your skills, your way of working. Even it depends on the head. Sometimes, if it is not Roberto, if it is another person who is more into, working a different way, it doesn't mean that Upward changed his principles. No, but we decided that we wanted to be neutral, and we let know our group